Hi there. Welcome back. I hope you were able to watch that first video. If you haven't watched the first video, now would be a good time to go and watch that first video because we're going to be building on this video what we learned on that last one. So they all kind of add together, and I want you to kind of learn this system from the ground up. That's why I'm taking my time and sending you this free training. So go ahead and look at that if you haven't. And if you have, great. We're about to do some cool stuff. So I hope you're ready to learn something new. Let's get ready to learn again. By the way, thanks for your comments and suggestions. I appreciate them. I've actually incorporated some of that stuff into this little training tonight. By the way, thanks for your positive comments too. In the last video, we covered the 4 cornerstones of the cash flow machine. And we also talked about those super stocks. Remember those really good stocks that you kind of know what they are, the Apples, the Teslas, the Amazons. Those are super stocks and why it's important to have a super stock when you're trading. By the way, before we get into all this stuff, I just want to say that this training may be for you, or this whole program may be for you, if you're not happy with your results, right? You should be getting at least 20% a year, according to my mentor, which is William O'Neill. He's the second greatest trader of all time. And he says you should be getting at least 20% a year. And I agree with him. If you want to have more control of your finances, and you should, this might be for you as well, because you really should, as you get a little bit older, you should start to take control of your finances. You're the only person that's kind of have the best interests of your finances in mind. And you know what you want and you know what you need. And it's not that hard to learn a good system of trading and investing in finances. Just got to take some time. We weren't taught in school, unfortunately. And if you want to learn a system for creating reliable income for the rest of your life, but you don't want to be glued to the computer. Like I travel around the world. I'm not glued to my computer or my phone. I do check in on it every once in a while, every day for sure, but I'm not glued to it. And like day trading and some other kinds of trading, you have to be glued to it. This is that kind of system. So hopefully you're in the right place. So we talked about those cornerstones. This will start to look a little bit familiar to you. This is the cornerstones are really important. We started with the right stock last week. Then you go to the right market. And we'll talk about that tonight. And then we go the right spot on the chart, and then we squeeze the juice. I'm going to be building this as we go forward, and you watch our free trainings. So here is why I do this, though. I really love doing this. I love the look on people's faces when the light bulbs go on as they start to learn this stuff. I love when people come back to me and they go, I made this much money and it's been great. It's changing my life. That's what I do this for. But I really do it for this. And this is a guy named Paul Johnson. Paul took our course, the Income Accelerator, back in, just a few months ago. And this was a couple months after he started. And, rather than me telling you what his experiences were, I'm going to just let Paul tell you.
And I knew kind of what options were, but I never studied the numbers. So you helped me really understand what the numbers are saying. And I realized that for a long time, I've been missing out on a big opportunity. So I wanted to learn it. I wanted to learn it correctly and start applying it. And I feel I've been successful in that regard. In my smaller Roth account, I've made 15% so far. In the bigger account, I've transitioned from Apple, as you know, to Tesla. I'm up about 30% in the larger account. So I feel really good about that.
All right. So that is Paul Johnson, really great guy. And, very skeptical at first of what we were doing, which is really funny because I love when people are skeptical and all of a sudden the lights start to go off. Plus, he's an engineer and he's very meticulous. Like he kept really great notes. And then all of a sudden he started to realize, wow, there's real value in some of these techniques. And he really got it. So now he gets it. And he's one of our big proponents in the system. It's great. I've been talking about our system is based on covered calls. Now, if you're here, I don't know if you know about covered calls or whether you don't. I'm just going to kind of assume that you don't. But if you do, great, this might be a refresher. But, a lot of people just have trouble understanding something that's intangible. So I put together this little animation video, which is kind of fun. And it's based on a real estate example. Because most people, we all have homes and townhomes. And you go in and out of those and you can kind of feel and touch those. So I'm kind of coming up with an analogy that I think makes sense. Hopefully you agree with it. Watch this.
So here's a guy named Jim, the guy with the red tie here, and he owns some land. Let's call it a city block, and it's worth about $100,000. Then there is Bob, this guy with the red hair and the beard, and he sees this lot is for sale, and he hears that a big hotel is going up right across the street from that land. So he thinks that land could be worth maybe $200,000, not just $100,000. But the problem is he doesn't have $100,000 to buy it. He's kind of broke, but he sees this big opportunity there. What he does is he approaches Jim and he says, "I'll pay you $10,000 if you'll sell me your property anytime in the next 6 months for your asking price of $100,000. Jim says, "Wait a minute, if I sell you my property for the same price I want to sell it for now, but the only difference is you're going to pay me $10,000 to take it off the market and give you a chance to buy it anytime in the next 6 months, and I get to keep the $10,000? And Bob says, "Yeah, that's what I'm offering." So they shake hands and they make a deal. So, who has the risk here? Well, looking at Bob, he could lose his full $10,000 if he's wrong. Now, if he's right, he hits a home run. Okay, now Jim, his deal is he gets to keep the $10,000 no matter what. It goes right into his wallet, and if Bob exercises his option, Jim also sells his lot for the asking price that he wanted. He gets his $100,000 too. So Jim, in this case, has a relatively low risk. Make sense? A week later, Bob finds out that it was just a rumor, and this hotel is not going up, and it's not going to make that property worth $200,000. And Jim still has a piece of property that's worth $100,000. Nothing's changed on his side. Let's analyze the positions. Jim still owns the lot, and he got a $10,000 bonus or a 10% return. He also reduced his cost, he reduced his risk. That's another way to look at it. Bob, on the other hand, got unlucky. He invested his $10,000 and he lost all of it, so he was really unlucky. In this case, Jim basically just collected rent from Bob on his property. So over time, I would ask you this: who would you rather be? Would you rather be Jim, that has the lot, or would you rather be Bob, that you know was swinging for the fences, but he lost it all? Well, that's an easy one. You want to be like Jim. You want to be the guy that doesn't take the huge risk. Now, can we be Jim in the stock market? Well, you better believe it. And if you've ever played Monopoly, it has a couple of places on the board. Boardwalk and park places are the most expensive properties on the board. But if you own any properties on the board, anytime somebody lands on them, they have to pay you rent every time they go around the board. So there's always a Bob out there, there's always a gambler out there that's willing to pay you rent. And if you're Jim, you could take money from all the Bobs over and over and over again, all year long. And that's what we want to do. We want to start collecting rent.
So I want to, rent some stocks out, right? That's what we want to be doing, is we want to just rent our stocks out and create that reliable income every month. But I have gotten a couple of questions, and I want to answer those right now. So what if the stock or the market goes down? This is a great question. And obviously the market doesn't just go up all the time. We have markets that oscillate. You saw those charts that we showed you last week. There's no straight line. It's squiggly lines. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go down, and you kind of ride along the way. Well, why not make money on the way down as well as the way up if we can? So let's talk about that. Our goal is to protect the account first. So we play defense first, and then we try to make money second. We have different strategies for when stocks and markets are going up, and we have different strategies for when they're going down. So you need to know kind of both of those strategies. And there's a sideways strategy too. And we can actually make money on the way down with what we call our defend your position strategy, which is a bit more that I can go into right here, but it's a way to prevent your account from having a lot of slippage. We don't want to have that. So another question I got is, what if the stock goes up? Won't I lose money above the strike price? Now, this is a little bit more nuanced question. This is an advanced question. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, hang on, I'll just do a quick answer for this person, and then we'll move on, because it is a common question if you know what covered calls are. Yes, covered call. Let's say you have a $100 stock price and you have a $105 strike price, and you've sold the 105s for $1. If that thing goes up to 106, you're going to lose $1 above that strike price. But don't forget, you're going to gain $6 worth of value on the gain on the base position. So you'll lose a little bit on the strike price roll up, but you'll gain a bunch on the base position. But you always get to keep the juice, right? We want the stock price to go up. If the stock is going up in our direction, that's what this whole thing is all about. That's why we're trying to find these super stocks. That's our maximum gain. We love that. If the stock is increasing over our strike, we're making money on the stock and we're losing a little bit on our call. But we always get to keep the juice. That's the whole key to what we're doing in the cash flow machine. We always get to keep the juice. And if you get to keep the juice, you get to make 2 to 4% a month, because that's what we always do. Now the stock can go down, you still get to keep the juice. That's the way it works. So hopefully that question got answered. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you will eventually. So hang in there. I talked about the importance of market timing, right? It's part of our cornerstones. So let's go into market timing. Couple of things that you should know. 70% of a stock's direction comes from the direction of the market. It's a market of stocks after all, right? Individual stocks. So if the market's moving up, chances are your stock is moving up as well. This is not a game of certainties. This is a game of probabilities. So I always say, when you click that mouse to buy or sell, 1,000 shares of a stock, you're thinking you're right? And so is the other person on the other side of that trade. One of you is going to be right and one of you is going to be wrong. That means you got a 50% chance of being right or wrong. So that's not the real edge, right? It's what you do after that. Even if you're right, there's still a way to screw up that trade. And so you want to get the probabilities on your side. It's kind of like, the casinos in Las Vegas, right? They know that if you sit at the blackjack table long enough, the probabilities is that you're going to shovel your money over to their side and they're going to put up really nice buildings. That's the probability game that they play. We kind of do the same thing. We're in this game for probabilities. Our edge, as you saw in that little video that I just made, our edge is that we're the seller of the option. So we always get to keep the juice, right? It's what you do after you get to keep the juice that allows you to stay in the game. Market timing is a tailwind, right? We don't want market timing to be in our face. We don't want to be sailing directly into the wind. That's hard. Let's get the market timing behind us because it's a tailwind, right? And we want a green market when things are going up. So this is just a quick snippet of my market timing system. You can see, I know it's a little hard to see. I'm going to make it easier in a second, but you can see lots of ups and downs and arrows and dots and things like that. But you can see those are the cycles of the market. Just over the last several months, you're seeing the cycles of the market. And I want to point out there's little red squares and little green squares. Not the arrows that are red and green, but really the little green squares and the red squares. Keep an eye on those. I'm going to blow this up in a second here. I'm going to split this actual screen into two so that you can see it a little bit better, and hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense. But let's start with the left half of that screen. And you can look at the left side and you can see there's a red square at the upper left area there, right? Now notice where that square is, because that's where the stock price, this is the New York Stock Exchange market. You notice where that New York Stock Exchange candle is. You can see it's right about around where that red square is. And then until you get to a green square, you can see the market did go down when it was red. That's a market timing thing that we do. So we kind of said, hey, the market is favorable to be going down. It's red. And then it kind of went to the bottom and it turned red again, but it didn't do much. And then it went up to green. And when we made the green call, you could see from that green call, look at how much it climbed over the next few weeks, about a month or so. It climbed from that green square and that green arrow, if you want to locate it a little easier, all the way up to the top middle of the screen. And then the sellers came in charge and it turned red again, but it didn't go down a huge amount, but it did go down, notice. And then it turned green again. And now look at when it went green for about a month, it went straight up, not straight up, but it went up, right? You get what I'm saying. And then on the right side of the chart, you see a red square. So let me continue by taking the other half of the screen, which was that first one that we showed you. And you can see there it is red on the left side, and it went down, turned yellow quickly, and then red again. So that red call was beautiful, and it went all the way down, and then it started to come up. And then we had a green call. And notice that green square there on the left third of the page. And how many weeks, almost 3.5 weeks that it went straight up from there. And then the sellers got in charge again and it went red where that red square is. And you're getting the picture, right? It went red. So the red was correct, not hugely correct, but the market did go down from that red square. You didn't make money if you were long, basically. And then it went green right there where that green arrow is in the middle of the screen, kind of right above that. You see that green one? And look at how long it went green for. This is about 2 months of green. And so when you get these calls, these market timing calls that are green, I had 2 of them on this run, that's the wind at your back when you're sailing. You want that tailwind. That's the fastest you're going to go is with that tailwind. And then right there on the right side, we've got a red market right there as it's turning around a little bit. So you've got to heed the market timing. Anybody that ignores market timing is ignoring a very critical component. I'm very proud of the system that we built here, but I wanted to show you how important market timing is because it is one of our cornerstones of our cash flow machine. I do want to tell you that we have some stuff coming up next time in the next training that you're going to get for free in the email training. If you want to watch it, I think you should. This is good stuff, hopefully. In the next training, we're actually going to do a trade. I'm going to actually analyze some options. Now you kind of know what an option is. I'm going to show you what they look like on the screen, and I'm going to do a trade. And I'm going to discuss some of the important rules in the cash flow machine. So hopefully you'll like this video. Maybe you could make some comments in the video, below the video, and tell me what you thought of this one. And now start looking for the emails that we're going to have. We're going to send you over the next couple of days that introduces the next training, which hopefully you'll watch. By the way, put some comments in. Tell me what you thought. I'd love to hear what you say. And I might make some tweaks based on what feedback you give me. So listen, thank you so much for your time and your attention. I'll see you on the next video.